Every household in the Western world owns a first aid kit, antiseptic ointment for cuts, hydrocortisone for stings, bandages for scrapes, each product manufactured, packaged, and purchased separately, each with an expiration date and a price. But there is a plant growing in almost every yard, sidewalk crack, and trail side in the temperate world that addresses cuts, stings, bites, burns, splinters, and inflammation with a single leaf. It contains compounds that promote tissue repair, inhibit microbial growth, and reduce swelling. It was prescribed by Dioscorides. It was listed among the Anglo-Saxons' 9 sacred herbs. Shakespeare referenced its healing properties as common knowledge. The plant is called plantain. It is not the tropical fruit. It is a low, flat-growing plant with ribbed leaves that most people have stepped on thousands of times without knowing what it was. It grows on every inhabited continent. It requires no cultivation. It follows human footsteps so reliably that Native Americans called it white man's footprint. Today it is sprayed with herbicide so lawns can remain uniformly green. The question is how a plant prescribed for 2,000 years, growing free within reach of nearly every person alive, became something we pay to destroy. The plant does not grow in wilderness. This is the first thing to understand. It does not seek undisturbed forest or pristine grassland. It grows where humans have been, along paths, in clearings, on ground that has been walked on, compressed and compacted. It follows disturbance. It follows feet. This behavior was noticed by the people who paid closest attention to the land. When Europeans arrived in North America, indigenous peoples observed a new plant appearing along the trails the colonizers walked. It emerged from soil where boots had pressed. It spread outward from settlements and forts. Several nations named it for what they saw. The plant followed the newcomers like a shadow. But the plant was not unfamiliar in principle. Indigenous healers across North America observed the newcomer, tested it, and adopted it into their own practice, sometimes within years. The speed of adoption suggests the plant's properties were not subtle. Experienced healers recognized what they had. In Europe, the record was already deep. Dioscorides documented the plant in the 1st century. His pharmaceutical texts described its applications for wounds, for inflammation, for conditions of the mouth and throat. The same uses would persist, essentially unchanged, for 2,000 years. The Anglo-Saxons placed this plant among their most sacred healing herbs. The Lacnunga, compiled around the 10th century, lists it alongside other essential medicines. The inclusion was medical, not mystical. Pliny described it. Galen prescribed it. Medieval herbals repeated and expanded the knowledge. Monastery gardens cultivated it. The applications were consistent across centuries and borders. Wounds, bites, sores, coughs, throat complaints, digestive irritation. The preparations were simple. A fresh leaf, crushed and applied to a wound. A dried leaf steeped into tea for internal complaints. A poultice bound to damaged skin and changed daily. No special equipment, no rare ingredients, no complex processing. The medicine was the leaf itself. Shakespeare referenced it in Romeo and Juliet as a remedy for a broken shin. The reference was casual, no explanation needed. The audience already knew. By the 18th century, the plant appeared in the pharmacopoeias of multiple European nations. It was official medicine. It was prescribed by physicians. It was used by households across the social spectrum. And then, over the course of a century, it disappeared from medical awareness entirely. The first shift was philosophical. 19th century medicine moved toward isolation. The active ingredient became the goal. Find the molecule, purify it, standardize it, dose it precisely. This plant did not cooperate. It contains allantoin, associated with tissue repair, Aucubin, an iridoid glycoside with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity, Tannins that slow bleeding and reduce irritation, Mucilage that coats and protects damaged surfaces. Flavonoids with antioxidant properties. No single compound accounts for what the plant does. The wound healing effect appears to arise from the combination, allantoin promoting cell growth, Aucubin managing infection and inflammation, Tannins controlling bleeding, Mucilage protecting the wound surface. Remove any one and the effect diminishes. From a pharmaceutical perspective, this was a problem. A product needs a defined active ingredient. A patent needs a specific molecule. A clinical trial needs a single variable. A plant that works through 5 mechanisms simultaneously is not a product. It is an inconvenience. The second shift was economic. The plant grows everywhere. It cannot be owned. It propagates without human intervention. It appears uninvited in every yard and sidewalk on the planet. No company can profit from a medicine that grows free in every lawn. The antiseptic ointments that replaced it are manufactured and sold. The hydrocortisone creams are patented formulations. The bandages and gauze represent transactions. Every component of the modern first aid kit generates revenue. The plant generates nothing. It grows for free. It works for free. It is economically invisible. The third shift was cultural. As medicine professionalized, botanical knowledge was devalued. The grandmother who applied a crushed leaf was practicing folk medicine, unvalidated, unendorsed, unreliable by modern standards. The critique had merit. Traditional use is not clinical proof. But the dismissal exceeded the critique. The plant was not merely unproven. It was erased. It vanished from pharmacopoeias, from medical education, from professional awareness. Physicians trained in the 20th century learned nothing about a plant their professional predecessors had prescribed for millennia. The fourth shift was aesthetic. The modern lawn requires uniformity. Grass and only grass. Anything broad-leaved is a weed. This plant, low-growing, flat, visually distinct from turf, is a weed by definition. Homeowners spray it. Lawn services eliminate it. The medicine is destroyed to maintain an appearance. The same households that poison this plant in their yards purchase antiseptic from pharmacies. The same families that eradicate it buy hydrocortisone for their children's bee stings. The replacement is purchased. The original grows 3 feet from the front door. The system has no mechanism for valuing something that cannot be sold. The chemistry supports what 2,000 years of use observed. Allantoin is well documented. It appears in commercial skincare products, synthesized in laboratories, and sold in moisturizers and wound care creams. The compound promotes cell proliferation and tissue repair. Pharmaceutical companies manufacture it. The plant produces it in every leaf. Aucubin demonstrates antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties in laboratory settings. It inhibits certain bacteria and reduces inflammatory pathway activity. This is consistent with centuries of application to infected wounds and irritated tissue. The tannins function as astringents. They constrict tissue, slow bleeding, and create protective barriers on damaged surfaces. Applied to a fresh cut, they promote clotting. Applied to a sting, they reduce venom diffusion. The mucilage provides physical protection. It coats irritated surfaces, skin, throat, digestive lining, reducing friction and shielding tissue while healing proceeds. What matters is not any single compound, but the architecture. The plant produces a combination that addresses multiple aspects of wound healing simultaneously: cell growth, infection control, bleeding reduction, surface protection, inflammation management. Modern wound care protocols use multiple products to achieve what a single leaf accomplishes. The nutritional profile adds another dimension. Young leaves contain vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and potassium. Consumed as a vegetable, raw when young, cooked when older, they serve as functional greens comparable to cultivated species. The seeds contain mucilaginous fiber functionally similar to psyllium, which is derived from a related species. The commercial laxative industry sells psyllium products that replicate what this plant's seeds produce naturally. The ecological function deepens the picture. The plant does not merely tolerate compacted soil, it improves it. Roots penetrate hard ground, creating channels for water and air. Decomposing leaves add organic matter. Soil microbial activity increases where the plant grows. It begins healing damaged ground the same way it heals damaged skin, by stabilizing the surface and creating conditions for recovery. The geographic range is extraordinary. Every inhabited continent, temperate zones, tropical highlands, Mediterranean climates. One of the most widely distributed plants on Earth, not through cultivation, but by following human activity. The resilience is complete. It tolerates mowing, foot traffic, drought, flood, pollution, poor soil, and neglect. It requires nothing from human agriculture. It grows and produces its compounds regardless. In an era of supply chain vulnerability and rising healthcare costs, a plant that grows universally, requires no processing, and addresses the most common minor injuries has obvious relevance. But the systems that allocate research funding and determine official treatments have no mechanism for incorporating something that generates no revenue. The plant is called plantain. It grows in your lawn right now. Two common forms exist. The broad-leaved variety produces rosettes of wide oval leaves pressed close to the ground. The leaves have prominent parallel veins, 5 to 7, running from base to tip. When torn, the veins pull out like strings. This is the most reliable identification feature. The narrow-leaved variety produces upright, lance-shaped leaves with the same parallel venation. Both share the same properties. The seed stalks are distinctive, thin stems rising above the leaves, bearing cylindrical or oval heads of tiny flowers that mature into seeds. They stand among the grass, persistent and unremarkable. The method has not changed in 2,000 years. Pick a fresh leaf, crush it, by chewing, by folding, by rubbing between the hands until the juice flows. Apply it directly to a cut, a sting, a bite, a burn, a blister. Press the crushed leaf against the skin. Replace when dry. For internal use, steep leaves in hot water. The tea is mild, slightly bitter, with the mucilaginous quality that soothes irritated membranes. Young leaves can be eaten as greens. The flavor is mild and unremarkable. The nutrition is real. Some herbalists prepare salves by infusing dried leaves in oil and combining with beeswax. The preparation is simple enough for a kitchen. The plant requires no cultivation. It cultivates itself. The challenge is not growing it, but recognizing it. The knowledge is returning in small ways. Foraging communities teach identification. Herbalism courses include it. Wilderness instructors mention it as a field remedy. Parents pass the knowledge to children. The chain that stretches from Dioscorides through the Anglo-Saxons, through the herbalists and grandmothers who knew what grew in their yards, that chain is thin now. But it holds. The plant does not depend on the chain. It grows whether anyone recognizes it or not. It produces its allantoin, its Aucubin, its Tannins and Mucilage, regardless of whether anyone knows those words. It heals the soil it grows in while waiting to heal the skin it touches. It is the most common medicinal plant on Earth. It is also the most ignored. It grows in the margins, the cracks, the edges, the places we have decided do not matter. It is removed so grass can grow uniformly. It is poisoned so lawns look the way we have decided lawns should look. The plant does not mind. It will grow in the next crack. It will appear in the next patch of disturbed soil. It will be there when the next child falls and scrapes a knee. The medicine is there. It has always been there. It is growing right now, within walking distance of almost every person who will ever hear these words.